So this is part 6, and now we're actually looking at solving cubic equations. So what we're doing here is we're going to solve cubic equations, and we've got a value equals 0. And remember, this is your y value. So when the y value is 0 and we're solving, that means we're looking for the x-intercepts. So when we solve this and look for the solution set, your solution set is your x-intercepts. What are the x-intercepts of this cubic? So we're going to figure this out by taking the cube root. So we're going to solve. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the 16. So I'm going to subtract the 16. We always move this value first. We do addition and subtraction here when we need to get something moved to the other side. So that gives me a negative 16 equals 2x plus 3 cubed. So that's my first step. My next step is going to be to divide both sides by 2 because I'm trying to get to a point where I can take the cube root, but I need to get rid of all the extra. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Negative 16 divided by positive 2 is negative 8. So I have negative 8 now equals x plus 3 cubed. So I'm at a point where I need to find the cube root of both sides. And on your calculator, we're going to be taking the cube root here. On your calculator, you're going to hit math, and then you're going to choose number 4. And that should be your cube root function. So if I take the cube root of negative 8, I get negative 2. And the cube root, obviously, of x plus 3 cubed is just x plus 3. This is not like quadratics where we have a plus and minus. It's just x plus 3. So my last step is I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to move that 3 over, minus 3. So x equals negative 5. So that is going to be our x-intercept. X equals negative 5. Now let's look at the next one. So the next one we have is we're going to move the 27 first. So I'm going to add the 27 to both sides. So that gives me 27 over here equals x plus 1 quantity cubed. Now remember, we're going to take the cube root. We don't have to do any division here because our a value is 1. Our a value was 2 up here. Here it's 1, so we don't have to do any division. So we're going to go straight into taking the cube root. So hit math and 4, and that'll help you get the cube root of 27, which comes out to be 3. So 3 equals x plus 1. And my last step is going to be to solve for x, so I'm going to move that 1 over. So 2 equals x. So x equals 2. That is my solution. Now remember, you're writing an x-intercept, so we can go back up here. That means negative 5, 0, and this would be 2, 0. Because when x is negative 5, y is 0. That's what we're doing here. All of these y values are 0. When x is 2, y is 0. So let's do the last one. The last one, I'm going to take the 64, I'm going to add it to both sides, and that's going to give me 64 equals 4 times x plus 3 cubed. Oops, let me move it up here. Okay. And I do have to take that extra step now of division. So I want to divide both sides by 4, by the a value. So those two, 4 divided by 4 is 1. And what's 64 divided by 4? Well, if we do 64 divided by 4, we get 1. So that would leave us with 24, and that would be 16. So we get 16 on this side, and then we get x plus 3 on this side. But 16 is not a perfect cube. It's not a perfect cube. So how do we deal with this? Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the cube root of both sides. And we're going to have x plus 3 over here. And we'll have the cube root of 16 over here. I'm just going to leave it as the cube root of 16. The cube root of 16 is going to be somewhere between 2 and 3. Because you know that when you cube 2, you get 8. When you cube 3, you get 27. So it's actually probably going to be a little less than 2.5. Well, in order to solve this now, I'm going to move this value, cube root of 16, I'm going to subtract it from both sides. Whoops, I'm sorry. We're going to go the other way. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So I have the cube root of 16 minus 3 equals x. And again, I apologize, I don't have my calculator with me. But when you take the cube root of 16, you're going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5. And I'll come back and correct that here in the next part of the video. But this is going to come out to about negative 0.5-ish, somewhere in there, and that would actually be your root. If you actually did the math for function, took the cube root of 16 and subtracted 3, that will give you your x value. And that is how we solve cubic equations and find the solution set, or the x-intercepts, when we actually have to take the cube root.